things I remember about him are a lot of little nonsense thing. He was a very outgoing young man, and if you met him, his hand was out there to shake hands with you, and he was very popular in his church. He was an assistant youth pastor, and one of his sayings was, "Get it right." And it seemed like to me he always did. And he loved woodworking, and he sort of developed, sort of had his life with the idea of doing things for other people. And he was always proud to do things like that. And he made a lot of wood items. He loved woodworking, and sometimes I'd be upstairs in the house and the lights would go dim, and he'd be firing up one of the big saws or something, and he just really loved that type of thing. And he lost his mom 6 years ago, and which was tough. And then losing him on top of that, you know. But she had a lot of faith, and as a matter of fact, when she was real sick, and I know she was in a lot of pain, she says, "I want to take a moment to thank God for this pain, so I know how much he suffered for me." And she was very strong in her religion, and of course Clayton was too. And I have two other daughters, and two other children, two other daughters, and one's a school teacher, and the other one works for Grand Canyon College in Phoenix, Arizona. And they always, everybody seemed to love Clayton. He was quite popular, and a lot of things I remember about him were the little things, the silly little things. For instance, we were in New Mexico, and my car, well, I stopped to get rid of some coffee, and the car stopped, and I couldn't get it started. And he says, "Here we are, way over here in New Mexico. I'll never get to see Mommy or Carmen again." You know, I know it sounds silly to other people, but to me it's things I remember about him. And anyway, I ended up taking him out of the car and jumping around the starter to get the car started, and then I put him back in the car and we took off. But it was that type of thing that I do remember about him. And he was always kind of a funny little character. He just makes jokes out of a lot of things. For instance, I was drinking some coffee one time and I kind of choked. He said, "Yeah, that's why they call it coffee." And it's that type of thing that I remember about him. It may not mean anything to anybody else, but right now, those little things come back. I would say he was it in the community. Everybody knew Clayton, and he was very outgoing. His arm was out there to say hi to you and that type of thing. And as I mentioned, he was quite active in his church, and it seemed like to this day there's always somebody coming up to me and telling me little stories about Clayton. He was what they called their #1 sawer. He ran the chainsaws and cut down trees and stuff. And one guy came to me and told me that he says, "You know, one time I'd cut down a tree," and he said, "and it landed onto another tree." He said, "I didn't know what to do with it." And he said, "I went to Clayton, and Clayton went over there and told him how to safely bring that tree down where it wouldn't flip back or a limb hitting somebody or something." And he said, Clayton didn't do it, but he told me how to do it. And that was the type of thing he did. And evidently he did his job well. So yeah. He was very important to me, I can tell you that. I've lost 2 wives, and both of them with brain tumors, which is, I don't know how that could be, but it happened, yeah. My first wife died very young. She was in her early 40s, and my second wife, and then I remarried, and my second wife died 6 years ago. And Clayton seemed to have been able to handle it quite well. And with my daughter, I never really knew because she was the quiet type, very quiet, and But anyway, I guess that pretty well sums up what I can think of right now.